I've presided over thousands of cases in my career. Financial disputes, property battles, family feuds over inheritances. But the day Sarah walked into my courtroom, I knew immediately this was going to be different. She was shaking, actually trembling as she sat down. And when I looked at the defendant's table and saw her sister Lisa sitting there with a smug smile on her face, I felt my stomach turn. Sarah had won the lottery, $3.2 million, and her sister had stolen it, every single penny. Let me explain how this happened, because it sounds impossible. Sarah had bought a lottery ticket at a gas station on her way home from work. Just a regular Tuesday. She'd been playing the same numbers for years, her kids' birthdays, her wedding anniversary, numbers that meant something to her. That night, she checked the results online and nearly had a heart attack. All 6 numbers matched. She'd won $3.2 million. Sarah was a nurse, single mother of 2 teenagers. She'd been working double shifts for years just to keep up with bills. This money was life-changing. It meant paying off her mortgage, sending her kids to college, maybe finally taking a vacation. She was so excited she could barely sleep. The next morning, she went to the lottery office to claim her prize. They verified her ticket. They took her information. They told her the money would be deposited into her bank account within 10 business days. Sarah floated out of that office, feeling like her entire life had just changed. And it had. Just not the way she expected. She called her sister Lisa that same day. They'd always been close, or so Sarah thought. She wanted to share the news with family. Lisa was thrilled for her. They talked for an hour about what Sarah would do with the money. Lisa gave advice, suggested financial planners, offered to help Sarah figure out taxes and investments. Sarah was grateful. She thought her sister was looking out for her. 3 days later, Sarah got a call from the lottery office. There was a problem with the deposit. They needed her to verify some information. Sarah called back immediately, and that's when her world collapsed. The lottery office told her the money had already been deposited into an account Sarah didn't recognize. They gave her the account number. Sarah insisted it wasn't hers. They told her that according to their records, it was the account she'd provided when claiming the prize. Sarah demanded to see the paperwork. The lottery office sent it over, and there it was, her signature on a claim form, except it wasn't her signature. It was close, very close, but it wasn't hers. And the bank account information listed on the form, it belonged to Lisa. Sarah called her sister. Lisa didn't answer. Sarah called again and again. Finally, Lisa picked up, and Sarah asked her directly if she'd taken the lottery money. Lisa laughed. She actually laughed. She told Sarah she had no idea what she was talking about. Sarah read her the account number. Lisa went quiet. Then she said something that made Sarah's blood run cold. Lisa told her that Sarah owed her this money, that Lisa had been supporting Sarah emotionally for years, that Sarah had borrowed money for her in the past and never paid it back, that this lottery win should have been split between them anyway because they were family. Lisa said she'd just taken what she deserved. Sarah hung up and immediately went to the bank. She brought the lottery paperwork. She showed them the forged signature. She explained what had happened. The bank told her they couldn't help. The money had been legally deposited based on the claim form submitted to the lottery office. If Sarah believed fraud had occurred, she needed to call the police. Sarah called the police. They took a report. They investigated. They compared signatures. They interviewed the lottery office staff. And they arrested Lisa 3 days later for forgery and theft. But the money was already gone. Lisa had transferred it out of the account immediately. $2 million went to an offshore account. The rest she spent on a new house, a luxury car, designer clothes, and a 2-week trip to the Maldives. When Sarah filed the civil suit to recover her money, Lisa showed up with an attorney and a completely different story. Lisa claimed Sarah had given her permission to claim the lottery ticket, that Sarah had been overwhelmed and asked Lisa to handle everything, that Sarah had promised Lisa half the money in exchange for her help. Lisa's attorney entered text messages into evidence that seemed to support this story. I read those messages carefully. Sarah had texted Lisa saying, "I can't believe this is happening. I don't know what to do." Lisa had responded, "Let me help you. I'll take care of everything." Sarah had replied, "Thank you so much. I don't know what I'd do without you." Lisa's attorney argued these texts proved Sarah had authorized Lisa to act on her behalf, that Lisa had claimed the ticket with Sarah's full knowledge and consent, that the money in Lisa's account was there legitimately, and any dispute about splitting it was a separate matter. But Sarah's attorney brought in the handwriting expert, the same expert who testified to the police. The expert showed side-by-side comparisons of Sarah's real signature and the signature on the lottery claim form. The differences were clear once you knew what to look for. The angle of certain letters, the pressure of the pen, the flow of the writing. It was a forgery. A good one, but still a forgery. I asked Lisa directly if she'd signed Sarah's name on that claim form. Her attorney jumped in before she could answer. He said Lisa had filled out the paperwork on Sarah's behalf with Sarah's permission, that Sarah had been too nervous to handle it herself. He claimed the signature issue was just a technicality. I asked where Sarah had been when this paperwork was supposedly filled out. Lisa said Sarah had been at work. I asked how Sarah could have given permission if she wasn't there. Lisa hesitated. She said they'd talked on the phone. Sarah had told her to go ahead and claim the ticket. Sarah's attorney immediately pulled phone records. There was no call between Sarah and Lisa on the day the claim form was submitted. In fact, there were no calls between them for 3 days before that. The phone records proved Lisa was lying. But Lisa's attorney had more tricks. He brought in financial records showing Sarah had borrowed $15,000 from Lisa 2 years earlier. Records showing Sarah had never paid it back. He argued that even if Lisa had overstepped by claiming the ticket, she was owed money anyway, and had simply collected what Sarah refused to pay. Sarah testified that the $15,000 wasn't a loan. It was a gift during Sarah's divorce when she was struggling financially. She said Lisa had specifically told her it was a gift, not a loan, and that she didn't need to pay it back. Sarah had emails to prove it. Emails where Lisa said, "Don't worry about paying me back. This is what family does." Lisa's attorney argued those emails were taken out of context, that Lisa had only meant Sarah didn't need to pay her back immediately, that there was always an understanding the money would be repaid eventually. I'd heard enough. I asked Lisa one simple question. Did you sign your sister's name on the lottery claim form without her physical presence or explicit verbal permission on that specific day? Lisa looked at her attorney. Her attorney told her not to answer, and that told me everything I needed to know. I called a recess and reviewed all the evidence, the forged signature, the lack of phone calls on the critical day, the text messages that were vague enough to be interpreted multiple ways, the money immediately transferred and spent, the changing stories. Lisa had stolen that lottery money. The evidence was overwhelming. But here's where it got complicated. The lottery office had released the funds based on what appeared to be legitimate paperwork. Lisa had the money, and she'd already spent most of it. Even if I ruled in Sarah's favor, collecting the judgment would be nearly impossible. The offshore accounts were untouchable. The house and car were in Lisa's name, and she could claim they were purchased with separate funds. Sarah's attorney argued that Lisa should be forced to liquidate everything, sell the house, sell the car, return every penny she'd taken. He asked for punitive damages on top of the actual theft. He wanted Lisa punished, not just financially, but legally. During my research, I discovered something that changed the entire case. Lisa had done this before. Not lottery fraud specifically, but identity theft. 6 years earlier, she'd opened credit cards in her ex-boyfriend's name and run up $40,000 in charges. The ex-boyfriend had pressed charges, but dropped them when Lisa agreed to pay restitution. She'd made 3 payments and then disappeared. He never saw another dime. I brought this up in court. Lisa's attorney objected. He said past civil matters weren't relevant. I overruled him. If Lisa had a pattern of stealing people's identities and forging signatures, that was absolutely relevant to whether she'd done it to her own sister. I asked Lisa about the credit card fraud. She refused to answer. Fifth Amendment again. Her attorney looked increasingly uncomfortable. He hadn't known about this prior case. You could see it on his face. Then Sarah's attorney did something brilliant. He subpoenaed Lisa's bank records.
Okay, pause right there. This is the moment the entire case shifts from family dispute to full-blown calculated criminal operation. Up until now, Lisa's defense could try to hide behind misunderstandings, vague texts, or family drama. But once prior identity theft enters the courtroom, that's devastating. In legal terms, it establishes a potential pattern of behavior, and juries pay very close attention to patterns. And notice something else: the offshore transfers, splitting transactions to avoid reporting requirements. That's not panic. That's planning. This wasn't a sister making a bad emotional decision. This was someone moving like they'd rehearsed it in their head long before the lottery ticket ever existed. And here's the terrifying question for everyone watching: if Sarah had never checked that paperwork carefully, would Lisa have gotten away with all of it forever?
But Lisa had claimed it as a lump sum to get the money faster. Sarah lost more than half the total value of her prize because her sister was in a hurry to steal from her. The trial lasted 3 weeks. Every day, Sarah sat in that courtroom watching her sister lie.